You know, at one point, when they were younger, I think they used to let me get a lot closer to them than they are now. But the good one thing about that whole interaction was that he wasn't in the garden. So, just more evidence that they can't get in anymore, which I was pretty sure they couldn't, but it's good to see him right outside the garden and not in it, which meaning that he probably can't get in, otherwise he would have been in there eating the lettuce. Yesterday I started taking pictures of a lot of the insects out here and trying to figure out what are the beneficial insects and what are the harmful insects. And the video of the spider that you just saw, spiders are generally good. They eat small aphids and small insects that are harmful. So spiders in gardens you kind of want to leave alone. But the little tiny little yellow little caterpillar looking thing that you just saw, that is not good. That is a larva of a squash beetle that looks like, once it turns into the squash beetle, it looks like a ladybug, and ladybugs are good, but this is not a good beetle. It is a ladybug imposter, and it eats the leaves and the fruit. So not good. So I'm gonna have to remove him. And there's quite a lot of those. I found a whole bunch yesterday. I found underneath a leaf, I found a bunch of eggs where they had all hatched, and they had just hatched, and they were all on the bottom of the leaf still. So I chunked that leaf really far away. So yeah, I had kind of an infestation of those little things. So I'm anticipating finding a lot of those, and I'll show you what they do to the leaves. And this is, again, I'm just learning this. And just yesterday I learned a lot about this, and I just found another one, and I'll show you him, and I'll show you what he does to the leaf. Okay, so I got rid of that one, but here's another spot where I think another one's gonna be. So I'm gonna show you this spot and then look underneath the leaf and see if there's another one of those things there. So indeed there was one there, and I just spotted the mature squash bug, what the larva turns into. So I'll show you that as well. And I'm kind of finding all this really interesting. I don't know, it's kind of, a lot of people might find it really boring, but it's interesting and neat to like learn about all these bugs that, you know, you don't even really notice them when you're just walking through your garden until you really start looking, and then there's like just tons of life, of insect life, just all around the place. And it's important to kind of have an idea of which ones are good and which ones are bad. So here's the mature squash beetle that looks like a ladybug. And as you can see, it's eating the leaf, which is not good for the plant. And ladybugs don't do that. And that is not a ladybug. The ladybugs, regular ladybugs have less spots than that. But again, it looks very much like a ladybug. So you might think, oh, a ladybug, that's good. It's not good. This is a squash beetle and it's bad. So I gotta get rid of it and gotta get rid of that larva. And I think there's tons of these things. We kind of have an infestation of them. So maybe today I'll be going around just trying to get rid of as many as I can. Okay, and this, I believe, is a squash bug, not to be confused with the squash beetle. But it is also not good, from what I understand. I think it also eats the squash leaves and it probably lays eggs in the fruit or something. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on that because I think there's different varieties of this thing that looks pretty similar, and some of them might not be bad. Some of them are, I believe. So let me look. It is a really good thing that I really like cucumbers. So I went around to the backside to look for those cucumbers, and I want to show you something that I think is really interesting and really funny. Oh man, some of the hay got washed away from this area. I really need the wood chips. So yesterday we had a huge rain, like torrential downpour, and what happens is that this back area behind the back side of the backyard, all of this just gets flooded all back here. It turns into a pond, literally. And I'm hoping that once I get a decent amount of wood chips into the backyard, like in this whole area back here, that will help prevent that from happening actually, because the wood chips are really good at displacing water. That's my hope. It's probably gonna have to be a lot of wood chips, but that's what I want to do anyway. So, but what's really funny is I was going back here, and I don't think I've talked about my compost pile in the videos. There's been clips of me putting stuff in there, but I don't think I've talked about it. But the compost is right here. This is where I throw a lot of compost into this right here. But I came back here, and the rain and the flood that happens back here caused all of these, it's really the seed pods from this tree right here, this tree behind me. They all got washed back here with the rain, but just look where they're placed. Now look, I'm just saying, they are like placed perfectly to where I can just like rake them right into the compost pile, which is extremely convenient. And what's interesting though is that I think these would be considered a brown material. So in composting there's green and there's brown. There's green material and brown material, but that doesn't just refer to the color. It has more to do with, I think, whether it's like dead or alive. I don't really know. There's more that I need to look into to figure that out. But basically if something is green in color, it probably is a green. But if something is brown or black in color, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a brown. For example, coffee grounds are actually a green, I think. So I need to do more research on that and learn more about it. But I think that this stuff down here would count as a brown, and we just put a whole bunch of green stuff into the compost, and you want a good balance of green and brown. So now I'm just gonna sweep this in here, not sweep it in here, rake it in here, and that'll help balance out the green with the brown, help balance out the green that we just put in. I think that's all true. Again, I need to do more research into that because it is a little bit confusing. I just thought that was really cool that all of that material was just right there. making it really easy for me to put it into the compost. Before I put this in here, I'm probably gonna do a little bit of research because these are the seed pods from this tree, and I don't really want a million of these trees coming up in the garden once you put this compost in the garden, but I'm pretty sure that I can get the compost hot enough to completely kill off the seeds from the tree, and it should be fine, I think. Also, with it being rain, having washed all that here, like maybe the rain came through something else that I probably don't want to put in the garden, so I don't know, I'm just gonna do a little bit of research. I think it'll be totally fine, especially if I'm able to get the compost hot enough to where it'll just kill off any of the bad stuff that's in it anyway. But man, like, that's a lot of material. It's a decent amount of material that I did very little work for, so thank you, rain. So that's just the bottom half of the backyard. Grass clippings thrown into the compost pile, and as you can see, I think you can see, it's quite a bit of clippings just from the bottom half of the yard, but that composts down pretty quickly and it won't be anywhere close to that much, just in like a week, if even that, because grass just composts down really quickly and becomes really compact. But what I'm gonna do is go ahead and add some of this brown compost and this brown material with this bee. If that bee would leave me alone, I'm gonna go ahead and get a tool to toss this brown material in so I can go ahead and mix some of that into the green before I put more green in. I'm still in the process of cutting grass, but I think I'm going to start another project, even though I said I didn't really want to until the wood chips got here. I don't really know when the wood chips are going to be here, so it doesn't really make any sense for me to just not do much. But I also wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but now, along with learn about insects, which I guess I can consider that a project, even though I don't really have to do anything or build anything, I just have to learn about it. I want to change the way I'm doing the compost. Not change the way, but add on to the way that I'm doing the compost. So I've been watching videos of this guy who is extremely experienced and has an incredible market garden, and he pretty much only uses his own homegrown compost in his gardens, and with incredible results, and he does a lot of trials. I can't remember his name. I'll leave a link in the description to his channel and to the specific video of him talking about his compost system. But basically what I want to do is first of all, put a front on this, like a front side on this, so that the compost can, or so that all of the material can like take up all of the space of that, rather than there having to be like open space in the front so that it all doesn't fall out. And then I'll just, I can lift stuff into it, or you can just unscrew it and then put stuff in and then screw it back on, either way. But then I also want to make another bay, like if we consider this bay number 1, I want to make a bay right here, so I'm gonna have to move this thing and make another bay right here, about the same size as this one. And then basically all I want to do is, after this has been sitting here for a couple of months, I want to just flip it one time over into the other bay, and then let that sit for another 1 or 2 months, and then it should be pretty much done. And if it's not, it can just sit there longer. But then while that's happening, once I flip it, now this one is empty, and I can put more material in this. And then once this one is done, I take that out and put it in the garden, and then I can flip this one over and keep going. And then I can make more bays over on this side if I wanted to. But I think that'll be my next project. The backyard is done. It is really hot. I am very sweaty. I pushed the whole backyard because I wanted to get all of the grass clippings, and I don't have a bag for our riding lawnmower. So I pushed the whole thing and got all the clippings. And now, honestly, it's too much green material. I need to figure out how I can get some brown material. I might just have to buy more straw and use the straw for brown material. I mean, it would be ideal to not have to spend any money. Bales of straw really aren't that expensive, but still, it would be a bit more ideal to not have to spend any money and to get something brown from like right here, because who knows where that straw is coming from. I just finished cutting the front yards, so everything is now cut after the big rain yesterday. It was something I needed to get done because I knew there was gonna be tons of growth from the rain. And while I was cutting the grass, I was thinking about how to do this compost expansion. And I think it's really easy, really. I'm probably just gonna get some piece of plywood and just screw it onto the front here, about halfway up maybe. Maybe a little more. I don't know how high I really need it to be. And then for the other bin, I'm gonna use this wall as one side wall of that bin, make it easier. So I just need a back wall and then a wall over here. And then that same piece of plywood I should just be able to cut in half to fit on the front of this and on the front of that one. That should work. I mean, obviously this is just preliminary thinking, but I don't have any plywood, so I'm gonna have to go get some of that probably tomorrow. Might as well go ahead and get started doing it. But that's it for today. I'm wiped out from cutting the grass because I pushed everything today instead of using the ride lawnmower because I wanted the green clippings for the compost. But now I need brown material. I don't know, I'll figure it out. I almost forgot. There's an okra. There's a single okra.